Welcome. In this video, we will review how to apply filters to your data blocks such as timeframes, queues, agents, and more. To start, we have the offered versus abandoned calls by date data block here. If we would like to filter it, we can either go back into the data block by hovering over the header, clicking Edit Report, and then select Filters on the left-hand side here. You can select them individually, such as the agent name or the groups or the queues, but I want to show you how we can have a filter outside of the data block linked to it. To start, go up at the top right and select Edit Page, Add Content. We're going to be adding another data block for the purpose of filtering the existing cube report. Click Add, and from the selection of data blocks, select Date Picker. You'll have the opportunity here to name this something else. You can name it Date Picker, Time Frame, or anything you like. With this time frame data block now in place, we can put it where we would like, and we simply need to link it to our existing cube report. Select the link icon that looks like two arrows crossing over each other. This will bring up all of the existing data blocks on the page, so you can select which ones you would like to apply this time frame filter to. Now that we've linked these two together, as I make a selection of a time frame to filter, such as today, yesterday, last week, and select that time frame in the filter, it will apply directly to this data block. Let's look at the last 45 days rather than the last 3 months and hit filter. All right, that's a little easier to read. Let's narrow it down even a little more, just to the last 30 days. So that's how easy it is to link a time frame filter to another data block. Let's try another type of filter. If we go back up to Edit Page and Add Content, let's add one more data block. This time, instead of a date picker, select Dimension Filter. In this case, the dimension I'd like to use would be Q. So I'm going to go ahead and name it this Q filter and add it to the page. So now we have a dimension filter here for the queues. So again, we can move things around, place them where we'd like them, and kind of organize this in whatever way you think is going to be best. Once we've placed our queue data block where we would like it, we'll need to choose a data source. Hover over the header and select the hard drive icon to do this. The particular cube report that we're filtering by in this case calls upon data from the call segments index. So I'm going to select that index, and on the left-hand side we have all the available dimensions within that data set. In this case, I'm going to choose queue name. Check the box, hit OK. Now we have in our queue filter, or dimension filter data block, the ability to select a particular queue to filter by. Remember, we still need to link this to our cube report. To do so, hover over the header, select the link icon, which is the two intertwined arrows, and then select the data block that we'd like to apply this filter to. In this case, our abandoned and offered calls. Now, we can select a queue or multiple queues, and then select the filter button to narrow down the data we're seeing for just that queue or queues. If we hit this clear button, it will take off those filters and immediately represent in the data block to the right. I want to show you next how we can link this cube report to another cube report, allowing you to click on particular days, since that's the dimension this cube report is based on, and see the information filtered simply by selecting on that particular day. So let's start by adding another cube report. If we go to Add Content, we'll add another data block and select Cube Report. Because you may not have one built already for this, let's go ahead and create one. Let's call this Abandoned Calls by Q and hit Add. I'll place this one right below the other one. I'll move it up top here. And now we'll go ahead and select our index, our KPI, and the x-axis or dimension. In this case, instead of being the date, we will select as Q name. In options, since we're going to be linking this to the other cube report, the dimension for linking should be, in this case, the date. Now I'll go ahead and save and exit. So now we're seeing the number of abandoned calls by queue. I'm going to resize this so I can position it next to our other cube report. Alright, so now we're able to see the number of abandoned calls by queue. It's a little hard to read in this bar chart, so I'm going to go ahead and hover over abandoned calls by queue and click to make this a grid instead, and even sort by the abandoned total to put the highest at the top. Now this information has not been linked to the time frame filter or the queue filter. However, if I select any particular bar from the chart on the left, we can have it linked to the report on the right. To enable this, hover over the abandoned calls cube report and select the two arrows that are intertwined. And notice this report can be linked to others. We'll check the box in this case to link it to the abandoned calls by queue report and select link. But what that enables is for if we click on any particular data point here, it will link directly to the chart on the right. So now for any day that we select, the total abandoned calls, it will filter to that date on the right. We can take this one step further. If we would like to receive drill-through call details of the information in the report on the right, let's add one more data block. In this case, we'll be adding a drill-through. The drill-through data block will take information from the index and provide you all the raw fields that are available for that information. It's great for things like abandoned calls, or if you're trying to get an understanding of the different aggregations over time. We have the option of either adding information directly to this drill through by choosing a data source, or I can link a cube report to it to display the information that we select. For example, if we take this abandoned calls by queue data block and select the link icon, again by hovering over the header and selecting the two arrows, I can select drill through to link it directly to the drill through data block. Now that the two are linked, all I need to do is click on part of the report to see the raw information. In this case, having selected client services, I now have displayed all 131 abandoned calls in the information below, including the ANI, the conversation ID, the DNIS, and many other fields. This could be exported if you would like by hovering over the header and selecting the export to Excel or to CSV or to an XML. If you would like to see only particular data points in your drill through, you can go to the eye icon to show and hide particular columns here. We can make this very simple. Once you select this, it will allow you to choose what information you'd like to see. You might start by deselecting all the options, and then we can select a few that are going to be pertinent to what we're trying to find out. Like in this case, we can perhaps look at the call direction. Maybe we'd also like to see the ANI, and perhaps the conversation ID. There we go. Much easier information. So now as I click on any of these queues to see which abandoned calls they had, I can see the unique conversation ID, which can be referenced, the ANI, or the customer's phone number, and the call direction. So now we know how we can link time frame filters, dimension filters, which include queue, agent, or other categories, as well as individual cube reports and data blocks to other cube reports. And lastly, how how we might link a cube report to a drill through to get the raw information. Thanks for your time.